pension versus annuity, FRA versus MRA, and lump sum versus annuity on today's Fednobabble.
This is Fednobabble, where Kevin and Cassie make federal retirement benefits understandable for humans like you. These two don't hold back as they answer questions from the Fed Pilot workshops and webinars, or from questions submitted by you at fednobabble.com.
Well, welcome, Cassie. That's a long title for this one.
That is. So these are questions that you get from your workshop. What's going on here?
Yeah. Well, let's see. This first one is pension versus annuity. What's the difference?
Okay.
Can you explain what the difference is between? And this is a little bit difficult. Well, I'll just let you go for it. Pension versus annuity.
All right. So your pension is going to be, well, if you look at the definition, right, it's going to be something that you get once you've separated because you've contributed to a certain retirement plan. Okay.
Right.
So for CSRS or FRS employees, we call this the money that you receive at retirement or in retirement is your pension, because it's something that you've contributed to, you've worked towards, they've deducted it from your paychecks because you've worked for that company in that retirement system. Now, OPM calls it your annuity.
How confusing. I hate that.
Right.
Let's just confuse everyone even more, right? Okay,
Yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yes. But annuity is simply just something that you've contributed over time and you decide to take money on a monthly basis. And that's an annuity, right? So they can be one and the same, but they can also be different if you would like to keep it easy for yourself.
Yes.
Because you can call your TSP, monthly income an annuity. Right. And call what you get from the federal government your pension. I hope that helps.
Really that's what we do, because this is so confusing, because the pension, the way they decide to pay it out is a type of annuity. That's the way the annuity is the way they pay it out. The pension is what they build up. They could offer it as a lump sum. I know there are some pensions from companies, although those are very, very rare, from a company doing a pension, but they could just do a lump sum. There's your pension, and it's not given to federal employees in an annuity style, but they chose the annuity style, and OPM calls it an annuity, but then there's the TSP annuity as well, and people get those confused all the time. And so typically in my workshops, and Cassie, when you and I are talking about it, when we say pension, we're talking about CSRS and FRS. CSRS offset, all the rest, right? When we talk about annuity, we're going to be focused on the TSP, because we don't want to cross the nomenclature. We don't want to confuse people. So that's how we'll talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because annuity is so general that I don't understand why OPM does not distinguish that their FRS and CSRS monthly income is a pension, because that's what you've contributed to that because you worked for the federal government, right? That is an employer-sponsored program. So that's where pension and annuity are different, right? An annuity is simply just I get money on a monthly basis because I contributed to something. That could be an IRA, whether that's traditional, whether that's Roth, that doesn't matter, right? But a pension is specific for deductions that have been made because of to an employer-sponsored program.
Right.
Okay. So that's why we differentiate pension as your employer-sponsored program for FRS or CSRS, and annuity to your outside, TSP or other kind of programs, because those are not employer-sponsored. I think that's the easiest difference and distinguishing factor there.
I want to just point out that this a play of words and how it's all named and titled and how we refer to things. The confusion is not uncommon when it comes to federal benefits. It is very common to have that confusion, and why the government doesn't do a better job of clearing that up, because people they say, oh, I've got an annuity, and they think one thing but not what it really is, and so they make plans based off of what they thought it was or what they saw somewhere else, because every agency, I mean, I remember one person saying, I'm a temporary employee, and I talked to him more and I said, well, according to your agency, you're a temporary employee, but according to OPM, you're not a temporary employee. And he's like, what? Yeah, that's exactly right. And so you can actually make decisions based on what you think it is, but it's not really that, and you hurt your retirement because of that. So that's why we do what we do.
Story, real quick.
Yeah,
hold on.
Go for
I
it.
got a funny story. So I was meeting with this guy when I was first getting into helping federal employees and coordinating like their benefits with other insurance plans and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I was not salesy. I was not. I simply wanted to get him his benefits report, right? And I'm talking with him a little bit and everything else about just getting him the benefits report, and talking about maybe finding some outside planning if that's something that is needed for him. Then I would have that availability to help him out there. And I remember when I was walking up to him, he's kind of got this like, oh great, kind of slump to him and everything else. And I walk up, and the first words out of his mouth were, I don't want to buy an annuity. And I was like, you realize that you have an annuity with the federal government? Like, people don't think that it's an actual annuity, but it is. Your pension is an annuity.
Right.
Even though we distinguish the two because it's an employer sponsored program, it's still an annuity. If you are going to take or use your TSP funds for monthly income, whether you decide to withdraw a monthly portion of that, or get into a separate IRA, it's still going to be an annuity, because you've contributed to that plan and you're making those contributions, or you're paying yourself that income based on your contributions.
Right.
So he was like, I follow Sue Zorsman, and she said, don't buy an annuity.
Do annuities,
and
right?
I was like,
yep. Well, then you're going to give up your pension.
You don't have a choice if you work for the federal government. You already have one.
Right. Look at that. Then I'll tell you what. You give me your pension. If you don't want an annuity, you give me your pension, and I'll just take that off your plate for you. Right? Good. All right. So, okay, that's good. We went a long one on that one. That's okay, but that's good. Next question is your full retirement age your MRA? So let me put this a little differently. Is your FRA your MRA? What do you think?
Well, no. It depends. What are we talking about here?
Right.
Are we talking about for the federal government? Are we talking about for Social Security?
Right.
Because full retirement age is there's right. Your full retirement age is something that is referred to for Social Security.
Right.
Your minimum retirement age, or MRA, is something that's referred to for your eligibility for the federal government. So they're not always the same.
Well, I don't know that they are the same at all. I mean, they're different. They're different things, unless people are calling it weird things. But yeah, if we look at it in that respect, like you said, FRA is Social Security, MRA is federal government, work, employee, right? Those are two completely separate things that don't have anything to do with each other.
No. But I don't know what context we were talking about here. What was the conversation?
For this question?
Yes.
No, there is. I mean, that's what it was. I think someone was just. I think My guess is when someone asked this question, they were just confused as, wait, FRA, MRA? Aren't they the same thing? Because they had been, my guess is that they've been told that, oh, it's all the same and it works. Well, no. And one thing I have to keep reminding people is FRA is for Social Security, and Social Security is for all Americans, not just federal employees. And they go, oh, that's federal right. Employees, I guess everyone gets that. Yeah, everyone does get that. But your MRA is for your pension, and only federal employees get that. So it's I don't blame them though, right? It's way confusing.
I mean, and which MRA were we talking about here? Are we talking about the minimum retirement age or the maximum retirement age?
Right.
Yes, I'm going to go there. Because all regular employees have a minimum retirement age, and that could be between 55 and 57, depending on your year of birth. But all special provision employees have a different maximum retirement age, MRA. Depending on which agency there is. It could be 56 or 57.
Right.
So it depends. And no, they're not the same. Your FRA, so I guess the short answer is no. Your FRA is not your MRA.
Yep, have nothing to do with each other. Good answer. All right, next one. Is there a lump sum option rather than taking the pension annuity? Oh, look at that. We were just talking about that. Look at that. Did not plan that, did not think about that. But yes, go ahead and answer that one, Cassie.
Is there a lump sum option rather than taking your pension annuity? I mean, sure, you can get a refund of your contributions that you've made to CSRS or FRS rather than actually retiring and getting a monthly benefit. But I think it depends on when you separate, because
right.
Let me go back here.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions in that to have you as you answer this.
Okay.
First off, sure, you can bring it all back, but do you have to do that before you retire or as you retire, and can it be done after you retire?
Well, it can't be done after you retire.
Right.
No, once you've made that election and you've filled out the retirement application and you've already told OPM how you want to receive that pension annuity.
Right.
Okay, you've already said, yes, I want the survivor benefit, or no, I want this amount, or whatever that looks like for your retirement type. Yeah, it's too late. You can't go back on that. But if you separate from service and do not retire, then you could simply take your contributions and go away. Like if somebody is age 45 and they don't want to retire, they don't want to wait 15 to 17 years to receive that annuity pension, you bet they can take those retirement contributions and put them in another IRA or whatever you want to do with it. Spend it, I don't care. But you can take that lump sum benefit,
but all it is
or lump sum
is the benefit. It's only what you put in. There isn't any growth on it. There isn't anything. It's exactly what you put in, nothing more.
Right. So if you've only contributed $10,000, then that's all you're going to get.
Yep.
Now, and so it depends on what age you are, on whether or not this is going to be good for you. But is there a lump sum option rather than taking a pension annuity? Yes. But if you're eligible for an immediate annuity, an immediate pension annuity, then why would you want to take your lump sum option? Now, there could be a reason, say somebody's terminally ill.
That's exactly where I was going. That's exactly it. If you're terminally ill, maybe you do want to take it all out. So because you're not going to get it, so you may want to. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. But if that's the case, you're going to want to separate from service. You're not going to want to retire, because once you retire, then that's it. You fill out that application, you've submitted your package, and that's what you get. So I think people get those two dates confused too on the separation date versus the retirement date. The separation date is not necessarily your retirement date.
Usually
right?
is, but is not always.
Usually is. But it's just like your leave service computation date and your retirement computation date. They could be two separate dates.
Yep.
Usually they're the same, but there are reasons why they're not the same.
Yep. So, can I throw in one example of, as we're talking about this, I thought of where it gets really, as if it's not complicated already. Here's an example where it gets more complicated. Let's say someone's terminally ill and they know that they're not going to live more than 2 months. We've seen that happen, right? They may want to say, I'm done. I quit. I'm taking all the money so that I can give it to my family because they're not going to get it afterwards. If they do that, they've separated from service. They didn't retire, so their family can't have FEHB from that point on. However,
right.
However, if they pass away while they're employed, then their family can have FEHB even after, assuming some other rules and everything, but they can have the FEHB after, plus 50% of the monthly pension from that point on. So financially, which one is better? That is where it is so important to make sure that we're getting help on this. We're not making decisions like that willy-nilly and just saying, oh, this is what we should do. Or honestly, we've heard the story before where they took advice from HR and they were going to do a third option which was absolutely the wrong thing to do. So, whoops, sorry.
Right.
So I'm all over the place with this. So we just, you know what, we have to make sure that the change or the decisions we make, and we need to make, federal employees need to make decisions now for what's going to happen later. And we need to look at the different scenarios of what may happen just in case. So if this happens, this is what you want to do. If this happens, and you don't get into every little, if you go terminal, okay. But what are the ones that are most likely to happen? Here are the situations. And the thing is that federal employees are typically going to retire one time. They've got one shot at this. Whereas a financial planner and financial advisor, they have helped thousands of people or hundreds or thousands of people. They've done this again and again and again and again and again and again. They know what's going to come up. They've seen it before. So it's not like you're going in blind. You're going in with someone who understands this already. So again, that's why we say, please, go to Fednobabble.com and just get the report. And Cassie, by the way, Cassie creates the reports. These reports are phenomenal. And she was just telling me the other day that, Cassie, you stayed up way late to try to get the information just right on one. And you're up, and you get up early. You get up like stupid early. But you're going, well, at least for me, But you get up at 4 a.m., I think. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So that doesn't matter. No, but hey, listen, people need this information, right? So not only are we making sure those numbers are right, though, we're also giving back to the advisors the information that they need for the employee, whether that's a different option of what that retirement looks like, whether the lump sum option is, and how that's going to not just affect them, but their other benefits. How is that going to affect their spouse if they're married? How is that going to affect if they're divorced and they owe a portion of that annuity to their former spouse? What does that look like? Like we're able to distill down all of those different intricacies in a case, so that way we're getting that specific information to the advisor, so that way they can help the employee. Because the whole point of this is to make sure that the employee is taken care of. They have the information that they need and know exactly how these different benefits are going to affect one another. And until you can distill down that, you can't do any sort of retirement planning or figure out whether the lump sum option is going to be better than the annuity as a pension annuity for you. Right. And that's what it's all about, is finding out what's best for the employee, so that way they can make the most informed decision.
Yep. So if you would, please subscribe, get notifications for this to continually be updated, to be continually be educated, to know different perspectives on how to think about all this and really dive in. Other than that, we'll see you next time. Thanks, Cassie.
To get Cassie's comprehensive report on your federal retirement benefits at no cost, no obligation, and no sales pitch, go to Fednobabble.com. While you're there, submit a question for them to answer on the show.